So today is actually pretty nice. We've had some rain and some really crappy weather. And as you can see, my brake line is leaking. It has a hole in it. I was driving to Kroger and I hit the brake and it sunk to the floor. It was kind of scary. I had my kids in the car, so I limped it home with the e-brake, and we all made it. We all survived. It's been like this for about 3 weeks now. You know, I ordered the parts. They've been here for about 2 weeks. I just haven't really had time to do it. I've been working on the 91 hatch and the 88 wagon, but it's about time for me to fix my car because sometimes my wife needs her car. So let's get to it. All right, so the tools required for this job, we've got a 10, 12, and a 14 millimeter socket, flathead screwdriver, 10 millimeter wrench. I would prefer it to be like an open end wrench, like a line wrench, but I don't have one, so we're going to use this. And then we have our ratchet, of course, and then an extender in case you need it, and a pair of pliers. And then obviously you're going to need a 19 millimeter to take the lug nuts off of your wheel, and a jack. So I went ahead and bought both of them for both sides because whenever I do brake work, I always replace the same thing on both sides. If I replace the pads on this side, then I'm going to replace the pads on the other side. If I replace the caliper on this side, I'm going to replace the caliper on the other side. So same goes for brake lines. Because the one over there is just as old as this one, if this one failed, then the one over there, it's not that far behind. And the same goes with all the suspension work. If you replace a lower ball joint on this side, replace it on the other side too. It just makes sense. Because if this one's bad, again, the other side's not that far behind. And here are the part numbers. I got them from Rock Auto. At this point, I'm not sure which one's left or right, but once we pull the line off, I'll be able to match it up and see which one's which. I typically start at the line at the top because this one right here is typically where you're going to run into problems. These things tend to round off. They're always super tight, usually rusty, but in my case, not so much. I'm lucky. And again, a line wrench is ideal for this job because a line wrench will have more bite on the fastener. It'll help prevent you from rounding that out. All right, and now the next thing is this little clip. It's like a fork, it slides in here. You can use a pair of pliers or a screwdriver to maybe pry it out. See how that works? Basically sticks into the line, pops right in there. All right, we have a fastener here and then one up under here. It attaches to the bracket on the shock. Those are 12 millimeter. These bolts in the bracket, you don't really need to tighten them that tight, so they shouldn't be crazy tight, but who knows. If you live in the rust belt, it'll probably be rusted. Or if you've had your brake lines replaced before, the last person might have tightened them down super tight. All right, now we got 2 10 mils right here. Again, they should not be crazy tight. Just break them free and you can just hand loosen them. Unless you live in the rust belt, then they'll probably break off. And the final bolt is the line going into the caliper. That one is a 14. And this one might be kind of tight. Now you should have 2 crush washers, one before and one after the brake line. And my new brake lines come with new crush washers. So as always, when you get new hardware, use it. All right, so after comparing the two, this one, oh, damn it, getting bit by a bug. All right, after comparing the two, this one goes on this side, and this is the part number 2201070. This is for the left side. Typically it would be your driver's side, but the Beagle is from Japan and it was made for the Japanese domestic market. It is right-hand drive. All right, now we're going to do everything in reverse. We got our 14 millimeter line fastener in. Now we're going to do the 2 10 mil for the first bracket. All right, now these two are 10 mil or 12 mil. So these two are 12 mil, and it's got these little tabs that they stick on there. And then this one has a little lip that will slide over there. So it's really hard to mess it up. All right, not really working with one hand. You can use hand tools or electric, but hand tools work just fine. Electric just makes it a lot quicker. All right, now the final thing to do is to stick this up here, and if you notice how it's shaped round with a flat end, that is because the hole up here is shaped this same way. And now we can slide the clip into here. But you want to get this up there first. All right, and I guess the final thing is to tighten this down. You definitely want to tighten it, but you don't want to over tighten it, because if you do, you're going to round it off. All right, that should be good. And now the other side is going to be pretty much exactly the same, just not reversed, but whatever the word is, vertically flipped. And so I'm not going to record that, but I will record the bleeding process. All right, so on the right side, this hose has been replaced. As you can see, this is the same brand as my new one. But this is what I'm talking about. This has been rounded off. So this is gonna be a pain to get off. What I typically do is use a pair of vice grips, grip it on there, and then it should come off. And of course, this is being a bitch. All right, so after I broke out the bigger vice grips, it came loose, and yeah, that's a pain in the ass. But the trick is vice grips, and you can probably add heat to it. Heat would probably help. Maybe relieve the pressure from the brake. That might help. But this thing is chewed up now, which sucks, but I'll just use vice grips to put it back.
Now we know, and knowing is half the battle.
All right, we got the brake line on this side. We tightened that with the vice grips. We got everything done. Now to bleed the brakes, the first thing I did was I made sure that this was never empty, because if it becomes empty, then you can introduce air into the rear brakes, which I did not want to do because I don't want to have to bleed the rear brake. Typically what you do is you start with the furthest brake away from the master cylinder. On most cars, it would be the rear passenger, the rear right, but because my car is from Japan and my steering wheel is on the right hand side, I would normally start with the left rear. But because there was no air introduced into the rear, we're only going to focus on the two fronts. And because the passenger side, the left side, is further away from the master cylinder, we're going to start on this side. All right, so this thing right here is called the bleeder valve. It is a 10 mil. Typically you want two people to help you do this, but because I am by myself, we have a hose that we will stick onto here, and then the other end will go into the bottle. And what we'll do is we'll just keep pumping the brakes until all the air bubbles are out, and then we'll lock it down. But while we're doing this, we want to make sure that the master cylinder never drops below the bottom. All right, so we're going to loosen this just a little bit, not fully open, just, you know, right there's tight, just a little bit. All right, so now I'm gonna go pump the brakes, and then every so often I'm gonna fill up the master cylinder with brake fluid. All right, so as you saw, the air was pushed out and it was making that noise. You could see it, and it filled the line up. You didn't see any more air bubbles, so we came over here, we tightened it, and now we're going to do the other side. All right, we're gonna make sure we fill this up, because we do not want this to go below. We got it set up over here. We're going to turn it a little bit to loosen it. No air bubbles. And we're going to fill this back up again. All right, and then we'll close this off. I'm going to start the car because it is power brakes and the booster draws vacuum from the intake. We're going to double check our brakes. All right, they're a little spongy, so we're going to do the bleeding process again, starting with the left side and then back over to the right side. But this time we're going to keep the car running. All right, I think we got all the air bubbles out of this side. We're gonna tighten it and go do the other side. Loosen it. Now let's pump the brakes. All right, and that's how you bleed the brakes. Looks like urine. All right, well, we got the brake lines replaced on the Beagle. The Beagle needs a lot more maintenance. I haven't done any maintenance on it in a long time, so expect videos of Beagle maintenance. And of course, I have the wiring harness. Basically is all that needs to be done on the 91 Civic hatch. I got everything, all the small details buttoned up and everything. It's just the wiring harness, that's it. So there are a couple videos of that I'll probably be releasing soon. I don't know, I've been super lazy with editing videos. I've got a couple other videos I need to edit. My biggest thing I hate about these videos is editing. I don't feel like I do a very good job, and you know, I watch other people's videos and it's just, my videos suck. At least my editing does. But anyway, I hope this video helps. I hope I included all the details. So with all that being said, please like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you all in the next video.